Welcome, everybody. Today on our podcast, we are exploring the deeper reason behind our relationship with food and stress and lasting change. Today, I'm excited to welcome Audra Phelps to the show. Audra is a neuroscience-based life coach who helps people move beyond surviving difficult seasons and begin creating a life they truly want to live rather than simply helping people leave unhealthy situations behind. She focuses on what comes next, helping them build lives rooted in clarity, purpose, emotional resilience, and confidence. Using neuroscience informed strategies and practical tools, Audra teaches emotional regulation, healthy boundary setting, and how to let go of what no longer serves them while intentionally creating what does. One of the quotes that I came across from Audra that I really liked and that stood out to me was, most resources help you leave. I help you build what comes next. I love that because so much of healing from emotional eating isn't just about stopping the behavior. It's about creating a life where food is no longer your primary source of comfort, relief, or escape. Today, we're going to explore the connection between your brain, our emotions, and our habits that keep us feeling stuck. And most importantly, how we can begin building something healthier and more sustainable. So, thank you, Audra, so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
When people hear the words perfectionism or people pleasing, they often think that they're personality traits. Are they, or actually learned survival strategies?
Perfectionism and people pleasing are most of the time learned strategies. There's some kind of a survival strategy that kept you safe, that kept the people around you happy. And, there's usually some kind of a payoff for people pleasing and for striving for perfection, and there are some times when it's just a character trait, but the majority of the time it's a learned behavior that kept you safe as a child.
Yes, I find that you touched on people feel like that's what's expected of them, like what people are expecting from them. I see that a lot because this kind of information isn't readily available. So I have noticed with clients coming to me, um, they don't see these kind of answers. They see the answers of, in my line of work, a diet and a program, but
Yeah.
nothing to help you emotionally. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean when you dive into people pleasing, you can really you it really goes back to some kind of a message that you received as a child. Like if your parent was upset, or if a sibling was upset, or a friend was upset, that didn't feel good, right? And
Mm.
it may have felt unsafe. So it was like you're kind of constantly reading the room and feeling like, what can I do to make this situation okay, you know? Um, but even especially as women, people pleasing, people pleasing is a lot deeper for women
Yes.
because we have, through a lot of different avenues, through either our parents or through society or through a religion like the woman I work with, um, you are getting these indirect messages as a young girl that your role is to serve other people, your role is to nurture, your role is to raise children, your role is to make sure, be a homemaker, make sure that everything is taken care of for everyone else,
Yes.
right? And then you start to internalize this message that you are then responsible for other people's happiness.
So
And
true.
so if the people around you aren't happy, that must be your fault. So you're doing something wrong. So you need to change to make sure that they feel happy.
Yes. Yes. Well, many people think that emotional eating is simply a lack of willpower. So, why do you believe that it's common misunderstanding?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely not just a lack of willpower.
Mm.
There's a lot of conditioning since you were a young child that you need to prove yourself, right? That there's some kind of a checklist of conditions in order to be loved, in order to be accepted, in order to belong. And that can come from a variety of reasons. You know, you're in school and there's certain expected classroom behavior that you must meet
Yeah,
or you're the bad kid, right? Or in your social group, there's, you know, certain behaviors or looks that are acceptable, you know, and there's social pressures to, you know, look a certain way, and those
yeah,
trends change. And so you're constantly trying to meet conditions, other people's conditions for you of what will make you a good person, what will make you a lovable person. And so you learn very quickly that unconditional acceptance or unconditional love is actually really hard to find. And
right.
so what are you trying to do? Well, you're constantly trying to prove yourself. You're constantly trying to prove your worth. And you know, a couple things come to mind there. You could be proving your worth by because you've been told that your value is in your body, you know, especially as a woman, right?
Mhm.
You're as a young, I mean, think about it. As a young child, people comment on, "Oh, you're so beautiful. You're so cute. Oh, you're
So
looking
true.
good."
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, yeah,
The the compliments that a girl gets is different than the compliments that a boy gets.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So as a girl, you're getting like, "Oh, so cute. Oh, I love your hair. Oh, that dress makes you look so pretty."
Right.
And so as a kid, you're learning, oh, so then therefore, my value is in my body. People
Mhm.
notice my body
Yeah,
first,
right.
right? So then you have a bit of body dysmorphia.
Yeah,
And then, you know, couple that with also learning that there's conditions for acceptance, conditions for love. And this is where you can start to have an unhealthy relationship with food. You know, I'm thinking of my own experience where emotional eating has been a roller coaster, and
yeah.
food was always safe, right? Like food was the unconditional.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I could eat food, I could feel better. I could eat food when I was sad and it would take the edge off. I could eat food when I was happy and it would feel like a celebration.
Yes.
Like food was the common denominator that was always there, that was accepted me whether I was big or small, you
So
know.
true. And it always made you feel good.
It
At least
always made
at
you
least while
feel
you're
good.
eating it.
Yeah. So I think those two things are really huge. Like, you know, constantly having to prove yourself, but food was there when you were feeling emotions. And then learning that your body is where your value is. And
Right.
what is one of the biggest ways to change your body? Food.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's usually the first thing that myself included went to, you know.
Right.
It's just what we are actually taught from a young age that, change your diet, you know. So,
Change your diet. So you're changing the behavior, right? Like, oh my gosh, nobody's commenting on how beautiful I am anymore. I must be too
right.
fat, or, you know, all these things we tell ourselves.
Right.
And so, what's the first thing you can do? "Oh, I have to go on a diet. I have to restrict myself." But then you're restricting the one thing that was like your emotional safety,
Well, that's a good point. Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so now it kind of starts to expose those deeper beliefs that were there that were the reason why you were eating. The
Right.
feeling of not being worthy, the feeling of not measuring up, the feeling of constantly having to prove yourself, it can start bubbling up again. And
Right.
so you're trying to change the behavior, but the deeper subconscious level there is your identity and your beliefs and your values that are telling you, well, I'm only worthy if. And if you don't go into the subconscious and start to change it at that level, changing the behavior is just surface level and it's not going to really be lasting change. So it has nothing to do with willpower. Absolutely nothing. You just have to go to a deeper level to get
Right.
that lasting change.
Absolutely. I kind of believe there's no such thing as willpower. I mean, it doesn't work. So, I mean, it's
No.
it it's a when you think you're doing working with willpower, it's such a short period of time before your body and mind take over because your body is designed to survive. So, it goes into stress mode when you restrict yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, um, years ago, uh, I used to like run races.
Oh.
So I would do like, just for like, well, for lots of reasons. One was to lose weight because I also had body dysmorphia, right? But I remember at the end of every race, whether it be a 5K or a 10K or whatever, feeling like, wow, I pushed through and I did it, And so I used to think that that was willpower, but really what it was me proving to myself in little baby steps,
Right.
yes, yes, I am strong. Yes, I can endure this.
Yeah.
Yes, I am worth pushing myself. And
Right.
so, but I had to do that incrementally, right? And then slowly I started to expand my my awareness into what I was capable of,
Right.
right? And so it was through like just pushing the envelope a little bit further each time. And then I was basically giving my mind evidence that, yeah, I can do things I didn't think I could do. Yes, I am a strong person. Yes, I am worthy. All of those things. And you slowly start to gather the evidence that your brain needs to make that change on a deeper level rather than just going out to run a race and your willpower is going to get you through it.
Right.
That's not really how it works.
No, I'm very big on creating small changes and small habits. And you do one habit until it feels good. It doesn't matter if it took 4 days or 4 months. You're creating a lasting change instead of just trying to do everything at once. For myself, I couldn't do everything at once. I had to do one small thing, and everything added up. And like you were talking about how you start to believe in yourself, when you
Yeah.
when you can do that. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
So how does self-compassion come into the picture?
Yeah, I think because we have been conditioned to be responsible for other people's happiness. When people aren't happy, we
Mhm.
internalize that of like, oh, I didn't do enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough.
Right.
Right? I did something wrong. There's something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And then there you can you, it can be debilitating to feel guilt, and especially as a mom, like mom guilt comes up
So
so
true.
much, right? You're
Yes.
constantly feeling like you've just failed your children no matter what you did,
Right.
and so I often tell the clients I'm working with, okay, let's pause for a minute. Let's go back to whatever it is that you're feeling guilty about, right? Okay, let's kind of like step out of your body for a second. And let's say that person who's feeling the guilt is a friend of yours. What would you tell your friend?
Mm. Right.
Yeah,
So true.
because we are often harder on ourselves than we are on other
Absolutely.
people.
Yes.
So if you can kind of step out of your body and start to see yourself as a friend that you would be talking to, what would you say? And usually it's something like, um, give yourself grace. You were doing the best you could,
Right. Yes.
and they would help you see the situation a little bit differently. And then that starts to lighten that feeling of guilt. Would you tell your friend, you were doing the best you could with what you knew? Yeah, you would. So if you would tell your friend that, then now let's start to question yourself. Does that also apply to me? Would that advice also apply to me? And and yes, it would. So that's where you can start to practice a little bit of self-compassion. Is step out and think, what advice would I give myself if that version of me was a friend? And I
Right.
think that can be really powerful
Oh, yes.
when because because when you're in it, when you're in the emotion of it and you can't step out, it's
Right.
impossible to see the situation as maybe something different, and you keep repeating the story to yourself of, I'm a bad person, something's wrong with me, nobody likes me, blah, or
Right.
whatever, whatever it is that you're repeating in your mind. If you can step out, you can kind of break that cycle that's on repeat, that broken record,
Right.
and you can take a breath and go, okay, but what else could that mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Um, I like to read a lot, so I actually read a lot about neurology. And one of the things that I came across is your brain believes what you tell it.
Yeah.
So if you're constantly telling yourself negative things, then you actually believe that, even though it's not true, and no one else around you believes that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true. So it's also pay attention to the words you're using, because you're
Yes.
right. Your brain is listening to those
Yeah.
thoughts that are going back and forth. And then if that's what you're spending your time, lingering on, your subconscious is going to be constantly be looking for evidence of that.
Yes.
And
Right.
that's what it's going to bring to your awareness, is evidence of these thoughts that you're repeating over and over. Because, you know, your subconscious, it wants to make you it, I don't want to say it want to makes you feel good, but it wants to confirm. It wants to
Right.
confirm what it has confirmation bias, right?
Yeah.
If you look at the
Right.
scientific term, it's looking for everything to confirm what you're saying, and it's
Right.
kind of dismissing anything that goes against that, that contradicts that.
Yeah. That's
So it is really important to pay attention to the words that you're using, and
absolutely
pay attention to the emotions that you're feeling. And when you're stuck in that feeling of unworthiness or frustration or whatever, how can you just move to just the next better feeling up?
right.
Right? It doesn't, like, you can't go from anger straight to peace. That's too big of a jump.
Don't I wish, right? Doesn't work that
Yeah,
way.
it's too big of a jump. But can you just go from like anger to frustration, maybe?
Right. Yeah.
And then step by step, you're going to choose a better feeling emotion. And then your brain is going to be looking for those better feeling emotions each time for confirmation. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And then you go to the next one, and your brain will be looking for that emotion.
Yeah. Can you explain why awareness isn't always enough to create lasting change?
Yeah, I mean, awareness is the first step, right? You have to be aware of the situation, but then you actually have to rewire it. You have to do some real intentional
Right.
work to change the subconscious, because awareness, okay, I can be aware that I'm feeling negative, and affirmations are kind of like, affirmations can be helpful if you've already done the neuroscience work to sort of rewire your brain. But I like to think of it as, you know, you drink your coffee in the morning, and then you have a dirty coffee mug. And the you need to actually clean the mug before you put more coffee in it the next day,
Right.
right? And so that process of cleaning the mug is like really doing some internal subconscious work to help rewire and install identities and beliefs. You need to get to that deeper level. But if you are aware and then you just kind of repeat an affirmation, it's kind of like putting coffee in the dirty mug. Like you haven't cleaned out the old belief that's there yet, that's been programmed into you, that's running in your subconscious and determining your thoughts and behaviors. You have to clean it out first
I love that
before,
analogy. That's
yeah,
great.
before you can put in a new belief. So awareness is the first step, but then you have to dive and you have to get really good at asking yourself questions, right? So um, one of the things that I always tell my clients is like, okay, you're aware that you're feeling emotionally activated. You're aware that you're feeling this feeling of whatever it may be, unworthiness or something like that. Pause. And journaling is really powerful here.
Yes. Yep.
Huge. Like old-fashioned paper and pen journaling.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. I
And
believe that too.
yeah, because it gives you time to slow
Yeah.
down and really process what's happening and
Yeah.
bring what the subconscious belief to your conscious awareness, because your conscious mind works a little bit slower than your
Right.
subconscious mind. So you need to bring the subconscious to the conscious. And so as you're journaling, like start asking yourself some really good questions. Okay, I'm this is the emotion I'm feeling. So name the emotion, whatever it may be. Okay, where am I feeling this in my body? Start paying attention to how your body feels, because your subconscious often speaks to you through your body
True.
first,
Yeah.
right? And so, where am I feeling this in my body? Does it feel constrictive? Like I can't really get a deep breath, or, like something's heavy on my chest, or there's something stuck in my throat. If it feels that way, then there's probably an old belief there that's running your programming. But if it feels constrictive, it's not a belief that really aligns with you. So now let's dive into that. Let's go, okay, this feels constrictive. So there's a belief here I need to uncover. What is the belief that is giving me this emotion of whatever it may be, unworthiness, not good enough, whatever the emotion may be? Um, and once you can kind of uncover the belief, and usually or many times the belief has something to do with a definition of a good mom or a good wife or a good person, right? And that definition, as you start questioning, it feels constrictive. So it's not really a belief that's yours. So as you start
Yeah.
asking yourself good questions like, when did I decide this? When did I decide that I'm responsible for everyone else's happiness? When did I decide that I have to be a size 0 to be a good person?
Right. Yes.
Right? Um, you can then go, okay, this was given to me when I was a child. This belief was given to me when I was a child. Probably not indirectly. Like nobody came to you and said, you
Yeah.
must be a size 0 to be
Right.
lovable or to be worthy. But
Right.
indirectly, indirect messaging, right? The way you were treated, the things you were told, you were complimented when you were a certain size, and people looked at you sideways when you were
Right.
a larger size. So the messaging is, oh, in order to be a lovable, good person, I must be small
Right.
physically.
Yeah.
Um, so you can get down to what that belief is, and it's feeling constrictive. So you don't actually believe it, but it's there and it's running your programming. So then you can start to poke holes in it, because your subconscious is seeing this as like an absolute truth.
Right.
So, okay, is there ever a time that that's not true? Like, is there ever a time when somebody really loved me, or I felt really appreciated or valued when I wasn't a size 0?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And so you start looking for evidence that of times when that belief was not true.
Right.
Now the rewiring is happening because now your brain, your conscious, your subconscious is thinking, oh, this isn't an absolute truth. So this well worn pattern doesn't actually match the evidence anymore. And you can actually start to feel a little bit like dizzy, right? Like you really can start to feel it working and then go, okay, if that's not true all the time, then what is a belief that feels better to me? And you can kind of try different beliefs out and notice again how they feel in your body, because that's how you're going to know when it's a belief that really aligns with you,
Right.
right? So if it feels expansive and airy and light, like you can just take a really deep breath, then that's a belief that is aligned with who you are, that
Right.
is going to be empowering and it's going to help propel you forward. So, maybe it's a belief of I have value no matter what size I am,
Right. So a lot of
right?
people believe that they'll be good enough if they lose the weight.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I'll be good enough if I lose the weight. Okay. So you made your body smaller by losing the weight, but the emotional conditioning is still there.
Right.
And, if you haven't changed the emotional conditioning, then the process of losing the weight, your relationship with food, that hasn't changed.
Right.
So you're going to have the same struggle.
Yes.
Your relationship with food is the same. Your underlying conditioned beliefs are the same. And so it you're not going to have lasting change at the behavior level
Right.
if you
That
don't go down to the belief and identity level.
I think that's why diets don't work because you're going on other people's rules on what that diet program is. And so you're just doing again what people expect from you instead of
Yes.
going deeper into how you feel and what you actually want.
Yes, yes, exactly. Because many of us have been conditioned to give our power away to an
Yes.
external authority,
Yes.
right?
Right from childhood.
Right
Absolutely.
from childhood, of course, starting with your parents, right? What do
Yes.
my parents want me to be? What do my
Right.
parents want me to do? Um, what life choices would make my parents happy, but
Right.
also school, society, religions, as in the case with the people I work with. It's always what is the life plan everyone else is telling me I should follow? Okay, I'm going to
Right.
follow that. And
Right.
that, I mean, I get it. I did it for 35 years. So it's like, you know, it's a safe choice because you can kind of give the responsibility to that external authority.
Exactly. Yeah,
And
it's
it's
no
kind of,
longer your fault.
yes, exactly. But like, if you go against what everyone else is saying and it doesn't work out the way that you thought it would, then
Right.
you feel like, oh, I'm a failure. And so you feel that responsibility for things changing, right? So it's an easier, it's a comfortable path, I should say. It's a very comfortable path to give your power away to an external authority. But then you're always going to be having these conditioned beliefs in your head
Right.
that feel constrictive and they don't feel good. And you're going to be looking for other ways to feel safe and validated. And often that's through food.
I also think that when we are looking towards other people, when we don't do well, then we can blame it on them instead of looking internally on why something didn't work.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because it's hard to look internal, it's
Yes.
easier to blame everyone else.
It's true. It's easier to put the blame on either someone else or a program that you were on because it certainly wasn't my fault that I didn't do well. So, but
Exactly.
yeah. Do you think that We already kind of touched on this a little, that regulating our nervous system, I don't think there's enough talk about between our emotions and our nervous system. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think regulating your nervous system is huge. Trying to find, like, when you feel dysregulated, when you feel out of whack, when you feel like your emotions are out of control, then your nervous system is totally dysregulated, right? And when you start to feel that way, like life is controlling you rather than you controlling life,
Right,
there's some kind of an energy shift that needs to happen because there's probably something stuck energetically in you.
right.
And there's a lot of different tools that you can do for emotional regulation that really kind of help to reset. One of the things that I find works really well when I'm feeling stuck or overreactive or just like the broken record, like
Yeah,
stuck in a cycle,
yeah.
is to like physically move the energy out of me. So, and I don't mean just like go for a run or go
Yeah.
do a workout or take a yoga class, but like I will literally go into a room and close the door and just for 5 minutes, I'll just like stomp around.
Perfect. Right.
Really? Like
Yeah.
I'm trying to get the energy to move through my body because the whatever emotion is being stuck energetically in
Right.
my body, and I have it's stopping the flow and it's preventing me from moving to a better feeling emotion. And I could journal about it and I can do all this other subconscious work, but sometimes you have to just energetically, physically move it out,
Yes.
right? So I'll go into a room, I'll stomp around, I'll jump up and down, I'll like wave my arms in the air, I'll like actually make pushing movements with my hands to sort of push it through, kind of like having a clogged sink, right? Like let's get the clog out.
Right. Yes.
And then after I do that, then I can kind of sit and start journaling and asking myself really good questions and the flow can start to come a little bit more.
Right.
And
Helps
it's
you
not
clear
something
your
you just,
mind.
it does help you clear your mind.
Yeah.
And it's not something you, especially with bigger situations, you can't just do it once. Anytime you feel that feeling of being
Yeah.
stuck, like even just if you're at work, close the office door and swing your arms around a few times, like just
Yeah.
change the energy of your body. And that now your nervous system can start to regulate and start to feel safe.
So when you're saying you can't just do it once, that's with all of your new habits. You have to make sure that you're doing them every day, and allowing yourself to become acclimated to your new habits and routines.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing I really love to do is EFT. So, like tapping, it's affectionately known as tapping. Emotional freedom technique is what EFT stands for. But it's like a meditative strategy where you're physically touching certain like energy points on your body while you're going through the emotions. And what it does is as you're physically touching certain parts of your body and you're vocalizing whatever it is, whatever emotion you're feeling, it helps your body to energetically process it. It helps you to verbalize it at the same time. And as you first kind of start with talking through what you're feeling. I'm feeling a lot of anxiety about, whatever it may be, going to this social event, or I feel like I need to have a drink of alcohol because I'm really overwhelmed. You first start talking about the lower feeling emotion that you're feeling. And then you can start going, but I'm still a good person. And
Oh,
I absolutely love myself. And I'm safe. And as you go through that process of touching physical parts, points, energy points on your body, and then working through the emotion of it, then that to me that's one of another really powerful way to regulate your nervous system, because then your nervous system can see, okay, these emotions are normal and they're safe, we're still okay, right?
Yeah.
And you can kind of rate how you feel before and how you feel after. And you can see that you're starting to regulate. The problem is still there, the situation is still
Right.
there, but you feel better about it.
Going to say you're actually giving your nervous system and your brain a way to express, but then you're saying after you express that, now you're saying the things that you need to hear. I'm still a good person and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
that's perfect. I like that. I've actually haven't ever heard of that, so I might
Okay.
look that up.
Yeah, you should. It's really powerful. It's really
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah.
So, um, for anyone that's listening and has been struggling with emotional eating for years, and feels extremely discouraged, what's one message that you would give them to take away?
That you're not alone, that so many people can relate, that the conditioning that you were given as a child was not your fault and you can change it. You have the power to change it. If you're not quite sure how to do that, find a mentor. Find someone who's trained in some of these neuro-based science techniques that can really help you get to that identity and belief level. Because like I said before, that behavior level change isn't going to be lasting. You need to clean out that coffee cup first,
Right.
right? And find that old belief that is keeping you in that behavior pattern and rewire that. And then your behavior will naturally change with it.
Nice. So when you're working with your clients, can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah. So I'm a coach specifically for women and moms who have left a high demand religion. I left the LDS church, which the formal name of the church is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day
Okay.
Saints,
Yeah.
or the nickname is the Mormons.
Okay.
So I left that church when I was 35. Um, and I've been out now 11 years and have really dove into the conditioning that I had to deconstruct, and I've had to reconstruct my identity and my beliefs and my values and how I was going to raise my kids. And so now I am supporting specifically those moms going through that same process of I'm leaving this high demand religion that told me who I was, who to be, how
Right.
to act, how to think, how to eat
Yep.
and drink. I'm leaving this, and they feel very ungrounded and they feel a lot of loss and a lot of grief,
Mm.
and they're looking for something to tether themselves to, but don't even know how to trust themselves because they've been told to push their own feelings down for
Right.
their whole life. So I help women build what's next. I help them do some of this emotional regulation and identity work so they can discover who's inside that's been there all along, but they haven't been allowed to let her out.
So, do you feel that because you lived it, that you're more apt to be able to not only give the information that's needed, but to help them more on an emotional, compassionate level?
Yeah, absolutely. Because when I left 11 years ago, I didn't know anyone who had been through, I didn't know anyone else who had left. And I felt very alone. And as I tried to talk to like friends of mine who didn't have a history in this church or a background and didn't really know anything about it, I found myself constantly exhausted because I would have to try and explain my emotions and the grief
Right.
and the loss while at the same time explaining the church. And then I felt like I was kind of stuck in the middle of, am I explaining it and defending it, or am I leaving it and changing?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to work with someone who knows exactly the conditioning, who knows the messaging, who knows the emotional toll of going through that. And so when I shifted into this career path, that's I wanted to create what didn't exist when I left and be the person that I wish I had when I left.
That's amazing. And I'm very sure that there's a lot of people that need that kind of support, and that's why it's important to have so many different type of coaches. This podcast is just, I know that someone is going to get something out of it. I really appreciate you taking your time out to tell us about it today, but we would kind of like to know where we can find you.
Yeah. So my business is Mama Audra. So Mamaudra. And I have a website, mamaudra.com. That's probably the best place. But then I'm also on all the socials as Mama Audra, except Instagram that was already taken. So it's
Oh.
Mama Audra official. If you're looking for me on there, yeah, yeah. So reach out if if there's anyone who's struggling with leaving a religion, I can help.
So that's actually important. So it's not just Mormons. You do all religions if someone feels stuck.
I can do some one-on-one coaching for any high demand religion. I have a big 8 week program called Reclaimed that's just for those who left the Mormon church, but the one-on-one coaching is for anyone who
Oh,
has
okay.
left. Yeah,
Nice. Well, I'll make sure I put that all in the notes.
great.
So if there's one thing you want to leave us with, what would that be?
Um, I would say I would say start paying attention to your body. Start paying attention to how emotions feel in your body. And if things feel constrictive and not right, start asking good questions because that's where you can start to really start uncover a lot of things. So pay attention to your body because your subconscious speaks to you through your body before your conscious mind has a chance to talk you out of it.
I love that. That's great. It's true though.
Yeah.
So, well, that's all the questions I had, but I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me. So,
Yeah. Thanks for having
um,
me. It was a good
yeah.
conversation.